Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so excited to be here with you today to talk about sales and marketing unmasked. I want to get right to the point. And happy birthday, Kate. She was nice enough to present to us on her birthday.
Thank you.
And that's 22?
23. You're really
Wow.
close. I
Wow.
know.
Amazing. Amazing. Me too. That's shocking. So very cool. Well, so excited to have everyone with us. Kate and I have been trying to do this for a long, long, long time, and I'm so excited. Ever since the first time I saw Kate speak, I knew that I wanted to do an event with you, Kate, and we do a lot of stuff and have a lot of fun together. So as we were chatting, and of course, I'm going to hand this over to you in a moment, but it became clear that with all the changes that are happening in the market, that there was really a need to figure out what happens behind the mask. Now that we can't meet in person, now that we can't connect or cheat by going to trade shows and all of those other things, what do we do? And so Kate is an absolute master at branding, and we do pretty well on helping to connect the dots after you know who you are. So I thought this would be a great event. Kate, how are you feeling?
I'm really excited. This is such a timely topic, and it's something that I'm consistently talking about with my clients and just business partners, people that I network with in general, is what do we do now that we are in a different normal, potentially for a while now, right? Well, you don't want to say the new normal. It may be our normal for quite some time. And so how do we make sure that we're still attracting and retaining the right people? How do we build a message that works? And then, one of the things I love about Dave and the BizzyWeb team is, from my angle, once we get that message nailed down, having somebody like Dave that can actually help you implement it is critical. And so this is why we talk so often just in general on what's going on in the sphere of marketing. So I'm really excited today to dig in with you.
Awesome. And you may be wondering who the heck we are. I think most of the folks that registered looking through the list, most of you know at least one of us, but here's a little bit about us. And so, gosh, I think this might be fun. I'm going to introduce you, Kate, and then you can
Sounds
do the
great.
same. Is that cool?
That sounds
Uh,
amazing.
Kate is a year older today, first and most importantly. But then also she is the owner and guru behind Ennobble. Incredibly impressive collateral and brand work. She does a lot of amazing stuff, and she's a fantastic speaker. You are all in for a treat. Kate's contact information is on the screen right here, and let's talk about what we can all do.
Yes, and I've got to introduce the incredible Dave Meyer, who I've had the pleasure of knowing for quite some time. Dave blows me away, you guys. Not only is he the owner of BizzyWeb, which is a tremendous, tremendous team of marketers that helps you actually build real relationship with customers and maintain that and acquire and win more work, but he also is a speaker. He works with Google and HubSpot. They are incredible Google and HubSpot partners. And what I love about Dave and his team is everything that they focus on is about business growth. End of story. And so Dave's contact information is below as well. But I think we're going to dig in, right?
Yeah.
We're
And so
just
we're
going to
gonna
get in it.
talk just briefly BizzyWeb, and if you have more information or would like to chat, we'd love to have that connection. All the things that you see on screen are the things that we specialize in. If I could share it in one sentence, it's that BizzyWeb helps B2B businesses attract, engage, and delight new leads to help you convert more business. We work in the million to $100 million range, mostly B2B services and or manufacturing. And for those businesses, we do a ton of really, really fun work. We've been around for 21 years now, and we're based in Champlin.
Also located near Champlin, Minnesota, Ennobble. I'm a solo entrepreneur, proudly so, guys. I am very much a proponent of that. And if I can sum up what I do, which is brand strategy work and building branded collateral, I build brands that win more work. So simply put, I've built a workshop program that really enables you to hone and refine every piece of your brand message. And then I teach you how to tactically execute that across websites, social, printed materials, whatever it is, so that you really have marching orders on how to go in there and get more prospects to the table.
Awesome. And here's what we're going to be talking through. First, I'm going to hand it over to Kate, and she's going to go through who you are. and what you're trying to accomplish. So we're going to go through what's defining your superpower, packaging your value, and then the brand trifecta. And it's so much fun. I do want to remind everyone that there is, in addition to the slides that we're going through, you all should have received a slide or a handout. And so feel free to fill out that information because we're going to be talking through this and helping you on that screen. So make sure that you look at both page 1, which Kate's going to walk us through, and then page 2 on your lead generation toolkit. So let's talk through that as we go through. Next up, I am going to talk about how to get leads in and how to automate and generate those leads in the new virtual world. And then we're going to cover what's next. So we're going to get right down to business because this is super fun. Kate, I'm going to give you control of the slides.
All right.
And mute because I have folks mowing lawn right outside my office. So here you go, Kate, and off to the races we go.
All right. So we're just going to click onto this first screen here. 1 second. It takes a moment. All right. So the first thing we're talking about is who are you? What are you trying to accomplish? So in order for us to get out there and really maximize this new virtual marketplace that we're in, we have to really crystallize our story. We've got to make sure that we can understand who we are and what we do very well, how we solve somebody's problem, how we're different, and what's the best way to package our products and services so that when we decide to really put the gas on the gas pedal when it comes to marketing endeavors, that it's really getting to the right people at the right time with the right message. Because I think, Dave and I can both say at the end of the day, you could try any tactic in the world. There's so many marketing tactics out there, but what we want to talk about is understanding what are the right things to do. And the first thing that you've got to do in order to really be solid on what's right for your marketing is having that message down. And so that's what we're going to dig into right now. So first and foremost, I think the biggest thing that I want us to focus on is you've got to, defining your brand really, you've got to know your onlyness. You've got to understand what do you and your company do that nobody else does quite like you. And I know this may sound very almost basic, but it's interesting. I've built over 100 brands across 20 different sectors, and every single company that I've ever worked with, ranging from a solo entrepreneur to a billion-dollar organization here in the Midwest, all of them, we start with this question of going, who are you and what do you really do that is so unique and so different? Very often we take for granted our onlyness. And it's just kind of in our brain. We just kind of think we know it, but we've never actually written it down in a way that is very clear, it's very concise, and speaks to our audience in a way that's provocative and has them go, ooh, yes, that is very different. That is something that I want to look at. So we're going to talk about just 4 simple questions that I'm going to tell you really help for you to get that nailed down. So here's my first question. What is the best product or service that you create and deliver? Okay, if you're on this call right now, you're listening to this webinar, and you happen to have multiple products and services, which most organizations do, whether it is B2C or B2B, whether you sell socks or a widget, or whether you sell consulting services, I don't care. What is the best one? What is the one that honestly offers like the most value? That people consistently saying, oh my God, that was amazing. Do you know that one? I'm gonna ask you a second question. Out of all the stuff that you do and all the stuff you could do, what is the easiest product or service for you to create and deliver? If you were to pull back for a second and think about executing this, bringing it to market, maybe it's the production line and how much time and energy it takes, or maybe it's, gosh, I've got this amazing consulting process that I do with my clients. On everything that you could offer, what's honestly something that you could do like in your sleep? Like I'm talking like it is so easy for you to do. You just got it down. Here's my next question. What is the most fun or exciting thing that you offer? So I'll tell you, Many companies, we focus on the most profitable, very important, but do we really focus on what's the most exciting and fun? Now, this is a really interesting question because when I'm building brands with companies, the thing that I always ask is, why did you get into this business? And everybody has a story, right? You have some story of what drove you to do this. In fact, I always tell people, this is so funny, nobody starts a company or decides to actually run a company unless they are crazy and they want to change the world. I mean, there's got to be something in you, you guys, even if you are in a role for your organization that's in like a marketing position, or you're in something that's driving marketing and revenue, for you to be crazy enough to believe in this. So here's the thing. There's got to be something exciting. What is it? What was it that was so exciting for you that you got so passionate about? Was it a particular product or service that was just like completely, genius? It was totally innovative. What is it? Your commitment to the way that you deliver it, your way you work with customers. What was it? I want you to think about that and continue to take notes as I'm going through this. What is the most fun or exciting product or service that you create and deliver? Having something that is the most fun and exciting is really important when it comes to packaging and then branding for that. Because here's the thing, guys, we can brand stuff all day long and create fluffy messages and do all the tactics in the world. But if you're not excited about it, what are we doing, right? I think it's a really big thing that most of us miss. And then here's my other question. What is the most repeatable product or service for you to create and deliver? So remember, we talked about like what's the easiest, something that you can just do. It's so innately natural. If you're a solopreneur, maybe you have a team, your ops team, they can just like do it, right? Like you have that process down. Okay, great. That's fantastic. Now let me ask you, is the one that you're thinking about right now also the most repeatable product or service? Meaning that if you were to take a new team in and to do this, where you had 10 teams across, or if I had to repeat myself and create 10 Kates to go and do what I do, could all 10 Kates easily be able to follow my process and my procedure and deliver a high quality product that solved the customer's need? If you're looking at these 4 questions and really thinking, God, one of these things really comes to mind, maybe 2, I want you to take note of that, because those right there, that's your superpower. If you can answer those 4 questions and all of a sudden you're going, oh, ding, 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 pattern here, I'm kind of going towards 1 out of the 3 things that I offer, guess what? That's your superpower. And here's what I'm going to tell you. When it comes to creating a brand that wins work, when it comes to then marketing that brand in today's new economy, I'm never going to tell you that you shouldn't also market the other things that you do. But what I will tell you is that I want you to think crystal clear about how you create a message that really is capturing the essence of what you're the best at. What is the ultimate value that you provide that solves the ultimate problem for your customer? And in a minute, we're going to talk about how we create that message. But my job here right now is I want you to just think about this and really take a few notes and go, okay, we're marketing a lot of stuff, but what's the 1 or 2 things that are really our superpowers? And I hope you've written that down. Once you've done that, though, I do highly recommend that you do a bit of a litmus test. And this can get missed, right? We have it in our brains like brand strategy. Kate does brand strategy. This is my deal. This is my superpower. When I was creating my company, and Dave, I'm sure you probably have felt the same, like we had to go and get some customer feedback. Yeah. And we had to get partner feedback. And even competitors, like I had to go and look at the competition and actually talk with some of the competition. Have you experienced that as well, that sometimes we think we know ourselves, but it was in the process of getting feedback that actually really opened our eyes to how we then packaged our products and services? Yeah. For example, 5 years ago, even though I was still building brands behind the scenes and I was working in corporate, I was like a professional side hustler doing this on the side, I had one complete way that I was doing it. To be honest with you, I thought I was doing a great job, and I was certainly leveraging my strengths, and it was easy for me to do, but it wasn't the most valuable product I could be offering. And it was in the process of gathering this feedback that took my understanding of my superpower to the next level. And it crystallized for me refining the process, refining the way that I packaged it, the pricing, all of these other things that are critical for us to bring in the best margin and be able to really, have a company that's going to be stable and grow. So once you've gotten feedback, here's the last thing I'm going to tell you on this piece. At the end of the day, if you thought through this and you go, all right, I think I know the product or service here that is my superpower, and you thought through those 4 questions and you got, all right, I'm going to go get some feedback, and I'm pretty sure, and I've had feedback, Kate, I've talked with people and they would say the same thing. Wonderful. Then I want you to think about, how are you packaging that? And begin to make sure that you take a hard look at the way that you are pricing it. And I'm going to tell you, do you have all the nuts and bolts out on your website that could actually help a buyer make a decision? So that if you send the email and you attract the person in, are they going to come to your website or get on a call with you and have everything that they need to say, great, Kate, what's the next step for me to get started? This is 9 out of 10 times the one piece that is missed. I would say most people, we know our superpower pretty well. If we've been in business for a while, we've probably had customer feedback and we've been doing good work. But we not necessarily have packaged it in a way and then priced it in a way that makes sense for our business. And we probably did not publish this on our website or in our materials and put the right information out there that actually made logical sense to the buyer to know everything they get for that dollar amount. And that is critical. And I know that Dave's going to dig into this more as far as some of the nuts and bolts, but from a brand perspective, I want you to think about making sure that you're always thinking about, how do I put my superpower out there and attract people in a way that they have everything they need to make a buying decision.
For sure.
So,
Kate, I did see that there's a question in, and as a reminder to everybody that's on the webinar today, please do feel free to either use Zoom chat or the Q&A tool to ask your questions. We've got a lot of folks on the call today, and we want to make sure that this is your time. So as you're filling out your sheet, or as you're doing, or just listening to us, let us know. And actually, this message came in via another outside channel because somebody knows me here, and they said, what do we do if we know that we're delivering, but there's a few things that we really want to deliver well, but that we don't? Should we try to bolster those things up, or should we go with what's really easy and what we're excited about? So, trying to make it work or going with what works, I guess, is the question.
I'll ask a question back.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, where are you winning? There's this common analogy of, like, if you're already winning in a specific area, do you really want to take the gas pedal off of that area and then try and put the gas over here and hope to God that it's going to work? I'm going to be really candid. Unless you have a team that can simultaneously do both, which a lot of us don't, truly, I'm going to tell you, if you have a product or service that is already winning, you're already excited about, your customers love, they may be referring you, you're already getting traffic, why in the world would you move away from that potentially to focus on these other things? I think the biggest misconception is this. The word innovation gets thrown around all the time. The word adapt, pivot, was like the word of 2020, right? Pivot, adapt, adapt, innovate. Okay, guys, here's the thing. Brands that win more work are so niched in and so good at what they do, and it is their onlyness. Companies who really win are good at one thing, and they do not deviate, and they're totally comfortable with it. Do you know why? Because what they've recognized is that they don't need to have everybody like them or have everybody buy from them. They've got to be amazing at one, maybe two particular audiences, their target market, buying one thing that they're brilliant at. If you want to disrupt the market, if you want to be different than the rest, you're not different if you're trying to do 5 different things. You're different when you are brilliant at one thing. That's what makes you unique and memorable.
Great. I think you nailed it. And thanks for that answer, Kate. Keep questions coming in, folks.
Yeah.
And back to you, Kate.
Well, so this actually brings us to kind of this next phase in the program, which is, I want to talk a little bit about, what do you do then to create this message? Okay, you've got this nailed down. You know what your super sauce is, right? You're like, this is it. This is my thing. Okay, I want to talk to you about a formula that I use with my clients, which is called the brand trifecta. And it's stupid simple, and yet it works every single time. And I'll give you an example about it, but I want to break down the nuts and bolts for you, and I hope you can take some notes here. Brands that really can penetrate the market, and it can create marketing channels that actually work, because you're actually attracting the right person at the right time through the right means and bringing them to the right message. What they do well is they have 3 things that are absolutely nailed down, and it's called the brand trifecta, okay? And the goal here is that this brand trifecta does the singular focus of creating common ground with your audience so that they ultimately want to buy from you. The other thing that this brand trifecta is all about is really focusing on provoking that person to want to know every step of the way, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. So what is it? 3 things. You ready? Number 1, you got to have a tagline. And you might be like, Kate, I'm not on a webinar to have a dumb moment here. I know. However, believe it or not, many companies do not actually have a tagline or a tagline that's working for them. So what is a good tagline? A very good tagline is actually very short, maybe 5 or 6 words, and it really clearly says who you are and what you do. You're like, that's a lot to pack into 5 or 6 words. It is. It's a lot to pack into maybe 5, 6 words. And the great taglines are only 2 or 3 words, believe it or not. Short is good. Taglines can come in a variety of ice cream flavors. I do see that. However, the best ones, I'll be honest with you, say very clearly what you do. I'm going to give you an example in a little bit. What's the second thing that you need to have for your company? Let's say you're like, I've got my tagline, Kate, great. You have to have a value proposition sentence, okay? This is a statement that specifically says how you solve your customer's problem. It is a very provocative call to action statement. It is the thing that, like, if you've gone to somebody's website, how many of you have seen these sentences that are like, partner with the premier firm, join us to do this, get this? It is often phrased as a do this so you get that. It is a sentence that clearly says, take this action so you can get this value. You're speaking right to your target audience, to the user, okay? Now, your tagline says what you do, and then they're gonna go, what do you mean by that? And you're gonna say, okay, let me explain that. I'm telling you to do this so you get that. Your tagline should provoke them to read the value proposition. And now here's the third part. It's going to provoke them to want to know more. And what do they need to know? Differentiator statements. How you're different than the competition. So what are the 3? Tagline, value proposition statement, differentiator statements. Now, by the way, as the name implies, how are you different? Great differentiator statements, and Dave, you've probably seen this. They often kind of come in like a little combo package of maybe 3, 4, or 5. And they just clearly state, you guys, simply like, okay, to boil it down for you, Bob, I'm going to pick on the name Bob here. Bob, at the end of the day, what I want you to know is we're different from everybody else in 1, 2, 3. Boom, boom, boom. This is what we're unique with, okay? They could speak to your proprietary process. It might speak to some amazing features that you offer, maybe how you deliver your work, price point, all those kinds of things. What I want you to take away, though, is that this is critical information. And you might be going, well, why? Like, Kate, I've given him a great tagline that says, this is what I do. And I've told him, like, this is how I can solve their problem. Why is it so important for me to also have this information out here? Shouldn't I just be able to talk about, like, all of the features and benefits of this thing over here, or take them to this button over here? Well, I'm going to give you an example, and I'm going to talk a little bit about buyer psychology for just a minute, okay? Okay, so Dave comes up to me. He's like, Kate, what do you do? You get that question, right? Absolutely. And I go, well, I build brands that win more work. And have any of you ever delivered a sentence like that and gotten this kind of reaction? Or really? So what do you mean by that? That's perfect. The moment that you get that reaction, you've got them. By the way, I build brands that win more work is just simply a variation of my actual tagline. If you were to go to my website right now, you'd see building brands that win more work. tagline. And Dave's like, what do you mean by that? Well, I'm a brand strategist that helps you clarify your message and create compelling common ground with your audiences so they ultimately want to buy from you versus the competition. Value proposition sentence. If you checked out my website right now, you'd see the tagline first. The next sentence below it is the value proposition sentence. So at this point in the conversation, or if somebody's reading your website, by the way, most of us are like, great, they're ready to know about all of our products and services. I'm going to start talking about all that stuff. Time out for a second, because here's why. What you just did, what I just did to Dave, is I just gave Dave like a lot of new information for his brain. And here's Dave like, what in the world? Like, what is it? She's telling me some stuff that's very provocative. That's like, I'm not really sure what that means. So you know what actually happens in the brain? We make a comparison. We take new information that we've never heard before and we try and make sense of it by comparing it to something we know. So often at this point in the conversation, I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you, Dave, but have people tried to make sense of what you said by going, so Kate, are you like a marketing agency then? Or are you like a social media person? Like, can you explain that?
Right. Yeah. All day long.
All day long. This is great. This is great. They're hearing in their brain, they're going, okay, she told me what she does. She told me how she solves my problems. She's saying that she can get people to buy from me versus the competition. So are you like an agency then? Well, I'm a little different because I'm priced for the small guy. I execute brands in 3 to 4 weeks. I teach you the why and how behind branding, and I help you tactically execute that across all channels. That's why I'm different. Oh, so like, what does that look like, or how does that work? When you hear from them, what does that look like, or how does that work? Now they're ready to know about your actual product and service packages, like we talked about earlier. That's the point on the page they click the button to want to know products and services. This is the point where they want to know features and benefits. This is where they want to understand all the other juicy stuff, okay? So in this example, what I want to get across from you guys is really clearly the brand trifecta of tagline, value proposition sentence, and differentiator statements. That trifecta, the singular goal is to provoke somebody every step of the way in that journey to want to know about your products and services, whether that's in a face-to-face conversation, you're on a Zoom call, you sent an email, you're putting out social media, you're doing advertising, whatever it is, okay? This is the goal of the brand message. When you nail that down, okay, then you can deploy it. Now, I'll tell you, please make sure that you've got that on your homepage of your website. Please make sure you have it on printed collateral. And I'm talking like if it's not in your proposals, if it's not, you don't have your tagline and things on even invoicing or project documents, it better be. And it better be on all of your marketing channels, okay? That message better be consistent because users are smart. Customers are smart. If you had a conversation and then they hit your website or they look you up on LinkedIn and it's not boom right there, what you just said to them in the call, they're like, I'm really confused right now. She's not who she says she is. This is not, wait, what's going on here? So, and I know Dave's nodding like, yes. Okay, consistency, consistency, consistency. Get a simple message of brand trifecta and deploy it. Once you get it out there, this is where the fun begins, is now you get to take it to market. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to now pass this over to Dave and allow Dave to kind of explain, well, how do you do that? Like, what's next once we nail that down? So Dave, take it away.
Right. Here we go. And Kate, thank you so much. And no other questions have come in yet, but I really want to get a few in. So if you have specific questions about how to differentiate, how to connect with your brand trifecta, and how to really share that you are different and how and why you're different, I think, Kate's absolutely going to help you knock this out of the park. This is your time. So make sure that you're taking this information. And if you really want to dig deep, we've got an offer for you at the end. But this is where the rubber meets the road. And what I want to take you into now is exactly where Kate was taking us. You want to take it to market. You need to get this information, who you are, what you do, where you're special, where you're different, and make it real. In this case now that you can't even do that in person. We can't go to trade shows. We can't wander around and say, hey, you want to buy my stuff? Hey, you want to buy my stuff? You got to actually go in and have helpful, meaningful conversations from a place of where you're awesome. And Kate mentioned something that I thought was really, really interesting. If you're saying what you're different from the competition and it's not compelling, you're going to lose them, right? So if you can say, or if your competitor can say exactly what you said, that you're different than the competitor at, well, we're cheaper. Well, anybody can say you're cheaper, right? What did Kate say about her business? She builds brands that win work. Not that we have the prettiest stuff, not that we have, these 3 things in psychology. We help you win work. And we do it in 4 weeks, and we do it immediately, right? That's popping people's interest and getting them excited. So once you have that message, now we want to take it forward. And yeah, in the past, we've been able to really bark out our messages and get some traffic. In traditional marketing, you would just work the room at a big event or hand out tchotchkes, shake hands, and that was enough to get conversations going. The tried and true stuff like cold calling, doing a print ad, doing big commercials, or the equivalent of just standing on the street corner and saying, hey, buy my stuff, doesn't work as much anymore. You can still do that, especially for B2C or business to consumer businesses. If you're just trying to get somebody to buy one thing once, you can bark at them and get them to respond. But especially in B2B, it's not enough to just wander around and to ask people if they want something. And we can't even do that now, right? So we can't get in front of people, and the entire message is different because we can't fake it. Great salespeople are actually able to bridge the gap between marketing and sales by engaging in conversation.
I think that's a really interesting point, though, that you bring that up, because so many of us think that we've got to be these incredible salespeople, but that's not even the case. You've got to be able to just have a conversation.
Right.
I think that's the ticket, right? So I love that.
And if you can't have the conversation, if it's shut down because you can't walk door to door and knock on doors or get some windshield time, what are you going to do? Buyers are more empowered now. Setting aside all this COVID stuff for a second, technology has made traditional outbound techniques less effective as well as more expensive. You can't connect as well as you used to. Buyers today have information readily available to them at the touch of their fingers right here, folks, on their phones. They can pick it up, they can Google you, they can snap a picture, and they can just say, okay, Google, and have you magically pop up. The internet gives everyone instant information gratification. If everyone can easily access product and service reviews and find out pricing information about you and all your competition, you can't really dig deeper and have that conversation anymore. So if you can't have that conversation and explain in person the conversation that Kate walked us through on what makes you different, what makes you better, your marketing needs to step up, and it needs to focus on what those actual needs are. Back into COVID world, right? Trade shows and expos used to be awesome. You could go in, you could have a fun phone koozie. Right at the beginning of all this COVID stuff, people were handing out hand sanitizer, right? So, or fun face masks, and we get all kinds of stuff like that. But those days are done. The idea of having a target-rich environment, well, all you need to do is walk around or stand at your booth and people would walk right up to you because you went to the show for the kinds of people that specifically needed your product or service, and they came ready to go and say something and do something with you. That's kind of gone. Mike asks, can we still get fun foam koozies? And absolutely you can. And actually, I think you should still do that. And you need to figure out a way to deliver something interesting and novel in the virtual environment. So having great examples of high value offers can get you the equivalent of a fun foam koozie, right? So a quiz or a white paper, which sounds boring, but can be really interesting, right?
Mike Lewis
or
would like to know if we can still get fun foam koozies.
Yeah.
Mike, yeah.
So Mike, let's do even better. Let's just get together and I'll give you one of our old koozies. So trade shows can't right now, right? So what do we do in order to bridge that gap? We have to figure out new ways to get in front of groups of people that we can connect with, right? Because the magic of trade shows was it was all people that were already interested in buying, theoretically. And if you weren't going to trade shows of people that were ready to buy, you're wasting your money, right? Sales calls with the right lists or a big bucket of business cards from that show, you had contacts to engage. You could drive from prospect to prospect, knock on doors, and tell your story in person. This is where fantastic salespeople can really get over a lot of marketing challenges. And windshield time is pretty productive, right? You're on the road, you're making calls, you've got your KPIs all set. You met with 3 people, but you got a great gas receipt and that lunch was awesome. People love the crab cakes or they birdied on that last hole. Yay, right? But you're not actually solving your customer's problem. So what do? The world has changed. We don't have the luxury of replacing knowledge with charm. Fantastic in-person sales teams are struggling. Lots of businesses have really shifted how they work. You can't call the office because nobody's there anymore. Trade shows are gone and events are awash. So how do we take it to the next step? We have to adapt to evolving buying behavior. As we look at what people are doing, how they're communicating, what we have to realize is that people are connecting with us on their terms. They're searching for us in their immediate need, and simply having big buckets of meat space people isn't going to be possible for a while. So how do you attract people? How do you build that magnet of marketing and engage them over a process? Traditional lead generation was always company-centric. It was, we do this. We've been in business for 13 years and we're the preeminent supplier of X, Y, and Z. And we're less expensive and we're blah, 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 and all the other things that everybody else could say.
Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah. And you can bridge over that with charm. But me marketing is dead. And we need to figure out a way to speak on people's terms. We need to make it more customer centric, do exactly what Kate said, and build your brand trifecta so that people know clearly who you are, probably even more importantly, why you do what you do, who you are, and how you solve their problem. People need exactly what they want, when they want it, in the way they want it. Your marketing is your new first sales staff. Maybe not your best, because you probably still have fantastic sales folks, but that sales team now has challenges that they never faced before. Making connections after your prospect has already done research, clicked a few links, and B2B purchasers, by the way, often log more than 80 clicks before they ever click to fill out a form or call. That's where inbound marketing and sales can come in. Inbound's focused on attracting customers through relevant, helpful content and adding value at every stage in your buyer's journey. We're going to talk about buyer's journey in a second. With inbound, potential customers find you through blogs, search engines, social media, events and seminars like we're engaging on today. Magical hint, you're probably going to get an email from Kate and I after this, and we're not going to sell you anything, but we are going to engage you in conversation, right? So if you want more, this is the way to engage. As you're building an inbound methodology and thinking about what I can do to make myself as attractive as possible to people that need me but don't even know me yet, you need to ask yourself, are you creating content with those prospects in mind? Would my best buyer, we're going to cover how to find the best buyer in a moment, would my best buyer find this helpful? Am I explaining the thought or idea well enough that they can make a decision, not necessarily to buy with you, but just to take the next step? Are your calls to action clear? Your website isn't Where's Waldo. If people go to your homepage and they have to click all over the place to get where they are, or if you're spending money on advertising and it takes them to the homepage and then they have to click 2 other places to get them to what you want them to do, you're missing the boat. Am I giving my prospects the information that they need to get that content on their terms? Are they actually getting the value that I promised by attracting their attention? Right? So easy thing, here's a estimator for a product and service that you build or supply. If they fill out that estimator and it just takes them to a page that says, now call us for more information. Well, you're just upsetting them. You're annoying them. You're getting in the way of the process. You need to actually give them something of value in order to trade their content, their time, their contact. So marketing then is about bridging the gap and helping solve our customers' problems before we even start a conversation. Especially in B2B, buyers are professional researchers. Remember 80 clicks? They want to know if you can solve their problem and if you're the person, the company that they can trust to make their lives easier. Like Kate said, you need to know how to solve your customers' problems and clearly share that you're different than the rest. If you want to have helpful marketing, inbound marketing needs to be clear, correct, and trustworthy. So where do we go from here? The good news is that we have help. Sure, we can't meet in person, but we can solve problems with great marketing that's focused on our customers and our prospects. Technology now allows sales conversations to be more and more human, even if there's no physical conversation. Great marketing adds context to your offering. You can use chats and bots if you want to get super fancy to make your website visitor take part in what feels like a one-on-one conversation. Wherever possible, you want to humanize your experience so that your potential buyer is starting to understand that you are the solution to their problem. This human-like approach can deliver major benefits to your bottom line. Not only does this communicate trust and safety to your prospects, but it develops long-term customer relationships. There's more potential to spread information via word of mouth, both online and offline, and it helps you listen and respond to what your customers are telling you, especially in this very, very weird time. Think of it this way. Inbound is about helping and being helpful during each and every experience a prospect has with your company. So creating an experience that you would want to go through is incredibly important. Create something that solves problems at every step of the way and itty bitty bites of information that are going to lead up to that full meal to signing up with you. It's time for you to support your prospects' buying journey. It's time to join in and empower your potential customers to make the decisions for themselves. This also centers around your contact, the people that you're trying to engage with. And I'm going to get a little marketing nerdy here, so hang on with me. But CRM, customer relationship management, and tracking people is incredibly important because you need to know who you're engaging if you're going to understand and help deliver what's in it for them. Your contacts are the heart of all of these efforts. And if you do this right, you can automate the steps in the process to make a conversation that's completely virtual and hasn't involved anyone on your staff yet to feel like a natural conversation. Anybody remember the Choose Your Own Adventure books, right? Kate, did you have these when you were a kid? I did. Encyclopedia Brown and all that. And do you open it up? Do you open the door or not? Right?
Oh yeah.
Are you
like Mad Libs as well.
Yeah. Are you interested in my product or not? Are you looking for A or B? And then you have to have content that gives them that A or B. Having a database is instrumental in allowing your business to grow. When you involve both sales and marketing in your contact strategy, that's going to help you get that amount of people that are engaging with you and let you work the numbers a little bit, which sounds a little counterintuitive to building intrapersonal relationships. But what you have to do is identify all of the individual needs for your marketing personas. And I'll talk about that on my next slide. But for your right people, for the best fit clients, how are you helping them? And what are the possible solutions that you can provide? Giving them information that can provide the back-end context can also connect and help you engage at every level. Every detail and every behavior in a CRM is stored and easily accessible, so that also lets you as sales team have relevant conversations that feel like a one-on-one conversation that you may have had on the golf course, that you may have had engagements through, that you might have had by having a conversation at that trade show. Having a system to track those contacts and engagement might sound complex, and CRM is one of those buzzwords you hear, like big Salesforce things and billion-dollar offerings, and people think that it needs to be a massive amount of investment. But HubSpot is completely free on the CRM side, and you can set it up inside of 15 minutes. This is not a HubSpot presentation, though. It's about getting the right conversations. So let's talk about personas. Actually, Mike said, imagine knowing what someone wants to see and surfacing it for them before they have to ask for it. That's exactly what they do. And actually, I think maybe Click 360 can help with that, right? So
They can actually, it's which is why I use them.
Exactly. Brilliant and wonderful partners of ours. Nice to see you, Mike. Having a great persona is your superpower. Understanding exactly who your customers are, and probably more importantly, who you are to them, is going to be the way that you identify what makes your prospects tick and helps you identify what you need to provide to them at every step of your buyer's journey. So you need to create a persona, and it's probably at least one thing where you're identifying your absolute best customer, right? So I like giving them names, and I like making them alliterative names. So marketing Mary, purchaser Perry, buyer Bob, whatever, right? We do some work in the construction business, so Bob the Builder was an obvious one, right?
I love this. I'm totally using this in future brand strategy sessions.
100%. You got to have fun with it, right? So once you know those people and identified their psychographics, their demographics, what they're responding to, and probably most importantly, what's the problem that you solve and how can you make them look good to their boss? Then you can get into what they're going to type into Google to get onto that first step of your buyer's journey. What is a buyer's journey? I've talked about it a little bit, but it's every step of the way. You want to guide people and give them a little bit more information. Sometimes buyer's journeys are, I have a need, I'm buying, right? Most of the time we're not that lucky, especially in B2B. Some prospects need to do a ton of research, and some maybe are just getting started in their jobs. Some prospects also have the power and responsibility to just make a decision and buy. We love those folks. But others might be lower in the food chain and need to do the research, create a plan, and then present it to their management. So how do you make their job as easy as possible to help them pitch you? Inside of that buyer's journey, you need to do all of these things. You're moving people from strangers all the way through to promoters. And I'm not going to go through too much detail in this because I think it's important that you fill this out for yourself. And again, we have the handout, so please go ahead and fill that out at every step of your buyer's journey. What can you do to get people to hop on that carousel? And by the way, for most of these, people can jump on or off the engagement strategy with you at any time. It's not like in the olden days when they would see an ad and then they would give you a call, and then you would have a conversation, and then you would move them a little bit further down the funnel. So it's not necessarily a funnel anymore. It's more like a flywheel where people are coming back over and over again, or maybe even a merry-go-round or a carousel where people are jumping on or off at any time. Sometimes people are going to respond to an email, which is already in the close phase technically, Or they might just be looking at a blog post that you published or looking at something that you just sent out on social media. As you look through the general steps though, you move people from strangers to visitors by attracting the right clients. You're promoting information, you're being as useful and as helpful to those people by knowing who they are, right? So Marketing Mary really needs to know how to drive more leads into her business. She's looking at SEO, she's looking at advertising, she's looking at this weird thing she heard about called inbound. She may have seen something by HubSpot or something and wants to connect in, right? How do we give her that information? Then we're going to convert her from a visitor to a lead by giving her something that's so valuable, she's going to give us the absolute best thing possible, her information, her email address, right? And that information needs to be commensurate with the value of your offer, right? If I'm just giving you a white paper or letting you sign up for an event, I'm not going to be able to ask for social security numbers or credit card numbers yet, right? If, however, I have a simple quiz, an email address is par for the course, right? And then I need to match that promise, that brand promise, by not digging too deep. We've all done LinkedIn networking. One of the worst things, in my opinion, that you can do on LinkedIn is to engage with someone, send them a really interesting message. Most times people just click on, I'd like to add you to my LinkedIn network. You're like, okay, well, this person looks interesting. You click okay, and then they immediately start spamming you with buy my crap, buy my crap, buy my crap, right? That's what I hear. They're saying it much better. You know, we are the preeminent provider of blah, 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 blah. All I'm hearing is buy my crap unless you're solving a problem. So having something that's interesting takes people from a visitor to a lead. Then we go from lead to customer by closing. That's where the sales conversations start getting in or start being interesting. You go from MQL, from marketing qualified lead, to sales qualified lead because they've done something and our sales team has actually picked that up. And then we go from that close from customers to promoters by continually meeting our brand promise, by examining and sharing and making our brand trifecta real by actually doing those things that we promised. So making sure that you're connecting and that you're delivering value at every step. If you get someone all the way to promoter, you're going to get more strangers into your business because they're going to be shouting from the rooftops, BizzyWeb helped me, Ennobble helped me. You need to talk to Kate, you need to talk to Dave. We get that all the time, but that's because we work really hard at it, right, Kate?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. So I know we're running a little close on time and I want to make sure that we're out within the hour. I could talk about this all day. And as a matter of fact, we have a 3-hour session that we'd like to introduce you to, but that's coming up later. There's no perfect pairing of inbound marketing tactics. What you need to keep in mind is that what works for your buyer is probably different by that person. You might not know your person yet, or you might not really know what makes them tick. It's our job to do as much research as possible, but it's going to be a trial and error process. We set hypotheses at BizzyWeb for our clients, and then we match those hypotheses. And just like scientists do, we either prove or disprove what we've done, and we learn from what we've got. We go with more of what works, with what you're awesome at, right, Kate? And less of what you suck at. If you're seeing that something's not great or that you're just not resonating or that you lost a client through that kind of an interaction, well, maybe you need to do less of that and focus more on where you're awesome.
Yeah.
So connect and implement. In order to get found, you need to have the right customers and you need to deliver something that's actually valuable to them. And of course, you need to round that back into a CRM, a customer relationship management database. It's a fancy word for a system that keeps everything in one spot. Anyone in your organization, whether you're a solo or whether you're an organization that has 100 people, you need to have a way to keep track of every interaction that you have and a way to do that that's going to let you add value at every step in that journey. It's easy to do with marketing automation and stuff like HubSpot or other things that we do for our customers. Sometimes it's better just to hire someone to do that. But at every step in the way, you want to add value. you nurture your relationships with the grand unifier in marketing, and that is content. You need to give people what they're looking for. This isn't spam emails. This isn't, join my network on LinkedIn and then spamming them after that. This is what Marketing Mary is looking for, what services Sam is asking for, and what you give them should add just a little more value and give them a choice to dig deeper. If you're doing this right, if you're automating it, if you're doing the choose your own adventure correctly, people are turning those pages all the way through until they're happy and excited customers and sharing that book with someone else. What you're looking for is content and context that's going to help join and build relationships. And what you want is an online relationship. And that's the only way to build relationships or build connection in a world where you can't meet in person. So having helpful, thoughtful, interesting information that adds value at every step is the way to replace face-to-face marketing, to peel the mask off and let people see who you are without needing to shove a Q-tip up your nose later, right? So
Great analogy. I love that. Oh my gosh.
thank you. I probably shouldn't put that on the top of my marketing messaging. That'll be my new brand statement. You don't need to shove stuff up your nose after you're done with me.
No, that's not. No, I veto that decision for your brand statement.
Good.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you. This is why you have great branding folks like
right.
So if you understand now that that's probably a good idea, and if you want to dig much, much deeper into this process, I'd like to introduce you and to ask you if you'd be interested in joining us for our hands-on workshop.
Mm-hmm.
If you found any of this interesting, you're going to love what we have in store for the 3 hours coming up on November 10th. What we're going to go through is a deep dive of everything that you saw today, plus a lot of things that we didn't even get a chance to talk through.
Yeah.
So if you want to know how to automate your leads and responses, if you want to know the psychology behind picking the right messaging and the things that you shouldn't do, I'd encourage you to check out bit.ly/unmasked workshop. Kate, what else? What else should we make sure to hit in our last 3 minutes?
You guys, it's actually going to be a lot of fun. I think what a lot of us will have happen is if you walk away from today and hopefully you've taken some notes, you've got the gears turning a little bit. You may have had a couple aha light bulb moments. What often happens for us is we have that great sheet of paper and we walk away and then we don't look at that again for a few months. And then a few months turns into a year and all of a sudden we haven't really made the changes that we need to make to our message and to our marketing. And this happens all the time with us. We have great intent, but no follow through. So what we decided to do was make sure that we could create a way for you to actually work hands-on with us together. Like we're actually going to work on things, you guys, in the room. Mm-hmm. You're going to be drafting, you're going to be writing, we're going to be talking through it. This is the stuff that if you're needing that accountability, that traction, that momentum in the moment, this is what we're trying to do for you in this workshop. And so if you are going, listen, I don't even know, Kate, if I can go and do some full-blown thing right now. I will tell you what I know you can do is probably spend 3 hours and really move the needle. And if you need that in Q4 to make sure that you're hitting the ground running for what you have for your Q4 and 2021 goals, I'm going to highly encourage you to sign up and join us for this because this is going to be an intimate setting and we only have so many spots available. So I think that we'd love to have you be a part of that if that's of value.
And we're going to have breakout sessions. You're going to work one-on-one with Kate and with me. And we're actually going to go through and we're going to do some stuff. This isn't one of those things where you're going to hear us yammer for 3 hours.
Oh my God,
we're going to work together and you're going to have that form, those documents, that workbook filled out, and you're going to have a plan for what you need to do next to say who you are, to say where you're different in your brand trifecta, and then how to automate that response so that you're actually getting results.
Yeah.
Cool. Kate, thanks so much and happy birthday.
Thank you too.
This is so awesome.
Too.
I really
and
appreciate
Don,
it.
thank you so much for joining us and everybody else that we have on the call. We appreciate you guys and I appreciate you very much, Dave.
Absolutely. You too, Kate. And I hope you have a fantastic birthday day.
Great. Thank you.
Cool. Talk to everybody later. Thanks.